All right. Hey, listen, welcome to another episode of Conversations with Geoff. Boy, where our mission, our purpose. First of all, I want to remind everybody that listens, everybody that stops in, that you are meant for more. And nothing should stop you from reaching your destiny. You shall not be denied. Remind yourself of that. Tell yourself that all day long, those of you out there that are seeking to step to another life, those of you out there that know you're meant for more, we just want to remind you that it's true. And you can do it, baby, right? Because our mission at Conversations with Geoff is simple. It's to share impactful information from real life speakers and myself that come in here and they share from the gut, they share from experiences, they share with the intent. Oh, you got to hear me. They share with the intent to give you some things that you can take away from this conversation, away from this show right now, today, and put it into your life and change the direction of where you're going. Oh, man, you got to hear me when I say, especially that. Oh, I was chatting with our guest today, and I'll tell you how we met her later. But, man, she's going to be, get ready. Put down everything, all your distractions. Make sure you share this information. Share us, get us out there now so you too can get your friends and family exposure to someone that's going to be really laying out some really powerful stuff today. And that's it. We want to give you empowering solutions that you can use to deal with the battles of the comeback, right? Because life is about that. You're either going to end one, you're finishing one, or you're getting ready to start another one. That's just the facts of life, man. I don't mean to be negative. I don't mean to be anything other than just keeping it real with you. And I can tell you this for a fact. I already said it once, that if your life is a struggle right now and you're battling things and you're just not sure what's going to be next, keep moving forward. Because those of you that are out there in that mess are making some stuff happen. Just believe it's going to happen. Believe you're going to get there and keep moving forward, right? Because I'm going to tell you something. Oh, boy. You guys know where I'm going with this, but just hang on there with me. And if you're new, please drop a note on to where you come from, whether it be LinkedIn, Facebook, or whatever platform you are, and give us some love. We really appreciate it, and make sure you share this information. But I always like to go this direction for just a minute. Because here's the thing. This is what I believe. And I am Geoff Tyson, known as the King of Comeback. I got that name from people that have seen me, like many of you, go through all kinds of crazy stuff in life, from early childhood to middle age to the mature age I am right now. But we keep moving forward, right? I kept moving forward. And so, you know, and what I used and what I believe in, I get so excited about, because everybody, look, we were all born the same way, right? I say, and what they say, naked, dumb, and speechless, right? So that's a fact. So check this out. Now we all been given a gift. And that gift is the mastering, being aware of, and then mastering and changing the conversation you're having with yourself about yourself. I'm going to say that again. The conversation you're having with yourself about yourself, that chatter, right? That internal narrative, that internal messaging that is either lifting you up each and every day and raising you above all the craziness in the world, or it's keeping you down, restricted, right? Tied, hands behind your back in a fight because you're listening to things that no longer exist. Right? You're listening to things that you know can't control. You're listening to things that other people have told you. You guys know what I'm talking about. I have to give you an example of my life. Hey, that little boy that people said, man, you are the goofiest looking kid. You have the biggest head. I have a head. My head was about this size when I was a kid, right? Now, this large cranium on this really skinny body and big ears. I believed all that stuff, right? So all that messaging from early childhood to yesterday's mistakes. What do you do about it? Simple. Become aware of it. Understand that it is really an obstacle in your way. Understand that you can become aware of it, right? Begin to pay attention to it. And then, you know, like I did when I first started doing these things, right? I mean, I've been at this for about 30 years and I've helped hundreds of people with this process. But when I first started doing this and I was committed to it, oh man, I would have this thought and I would say, no. Right? No matter where I was. People probably thought I had Tourette syndrome, thought I was nuts. But listen, it helps. So however it is for you, become aware of it, make that adjustment, and then begin to replace it. Right? begin to understand that you don't need anybody else. But my guest and I were talking just before the show about you don't need anybody else. You don't really need me here today to understand that you are worth it yourself. You as a person can make all the difference in your life. And mastering the conversation with yourself about yourself is key. No more stinking thinking. No more stinking thinking that blocks your next level. No more stinking thinking that raises all of the bars around you so you don't feel like you can escape. No more of that. Begin to change the narrative in your life by changing the conversation you're having with yourself about yourself. So when you look in the mirror, I always like to ask, how was it this morning when you looked in the mirror? Who was looking back at you? Was it your cheerleader? Was it your person that says you can do it? Was it that person reminding you of your greatness? Or was it that person that said, boy, well, isn't it a shame about all the things that are happening in the world? Yes, it is a tragedy that happened in Kansas City, but we can pray about it. But don't let it dominate our thoughts. It's a tragedy what happened here in Houston, at a church that we attend. Thank goodness that could have been a lot worse. But those are the distractions that happen that are legitimate. And you should care. But care and then move on, man. Put yourself in. You're still here. We've been spared. We are meant for more. Right? So anyway, who'd you see in the mirror? So let me get to our guest, because I was chatting with her and this, we met in a really interesting way. And I always tell people, please make sure if you're near someone and, say hi to them. If you walk by someone, say hi to them, smile at them if you can't speak. Don't put your head down. Don't ignore them. Let's all be part of this community, right? Raise our hands and say hi. Anyway, so we were at our mechanic shop and we were chatting, right? And one conversation led to another and just having a peaceful conversation and engaging conversation and find out that she does all these amazing things. And so, I was kind of like, hey, sheepishly, would you mind being a guest on our show? And she's like, yeah. And so, man, she's just a really genuine person here locally in Houston. So let me just kind of highlight her bio. Let me find that here for you guys. Okay, so she has studied and practiced yoga for over 30 years. A yogi, baby. Well, you better get. Hey, we all need that, me included, right? So over 30 years and taught for over 24 years. Her research and education in yoga is based on classical styles of philosophies and has been greatly informed by many inspirational teachers and leaders in the field of yoga. In addition, she's attained an MA in communications with a certificate in conflict resolution, leadership, and meditation. We all need some help with conflict resolution. Right, I know I do, right? And so, and then these disciplines she uses these to inform all of her clients to interact and support their own and help support their own growth, grown personal growth, and integrative wellness. Her goal is to provide programs and develop protocols that allow people to experience wellness in all aspects of their life. Her work is based on the knowledge that we are so much more than others see. We are so much more than we see ourselves and when others see us. She's a staunch advocate for integrative health initiatives, furthering the future of yoga therapy as a recognized profession and supporting her clients in assessing their own wisdom through holistic therapeutic support. In addition to her business in Houston, she serves on 2 committees for the International Association of Yoga Therapists and volunteer regularly providing yoga for women in recovery in the Houston area. Ladies and gentlemen, let me bring to Conversations with Geoff, my friend here in Houston, Nancy Martch.
Good morning.
Hey, good morning, Nancy. How are you today?
I'm great. It's a beautiful day.
It is. And thank you for taking some time out of your busy day to spend with us today.
Absolutely. I'm glad to be here. We did have a nice little conversation at the mechanic shop that morning. It was a lot of fun.
It was. I mean, it was just engaging, and it just, it was. I think people need to do more of that.
Definitely.
And we ended up. The gentleman came in behind us. He was chatting, so the whole, we could have had coffee at the mechanic shop.
Right. Yeah. Well, and one of the things about that morning was I had realized, because of COVID, that I had gotten out of the habit of just going and being out. So earlier in the year, I decided that I was going to make the effort to,
Mm.
go out and shop and go, be in public spaces more
Yes.
often. And then we bumped into each other. So that was fun.
Yeah, it was, and we've kind of done the same thing. Still people are suffering. I call it the COVID hangover. It's still,
Yeah.
and it takes you all kind of hold your head thing. But yeah, I agree that it was a great time to do that. So listen, we were chatting about some things before the show, and I think what you were talking about was really relevant. But I for the time we have, and we, as I said earlier in the show, that we're here, you're here to share some experiences and then leave some empowering and solutions for folks. Let's just kind of get to some things in life that were maybe a little dicey, and kind of, I think we talked about life at 40 and how that may have changed, and then we can back up from there.
Okay. So I grew up in a home where there wasn't a lot of room for experimentation and, expression, self-expression. And I learned very quickly how to assess what was expected of me and to provide that, which kept me out of trouble. I had good grades, and I basically grew up and did everything I was supposed to do. Went to college, got married, had children. Then when I moved into my 40s, which was really a wonderful decade, my kids were getting older, and we were just enjoying family life in Colorado. And at the age of 46, I was diagnosed with stage 3 breast cancer, which was very much a surprise. I was a yogi. I was, a clean eater, a distance runner. From the outside, my life and my health looked great. But inside, I was struggling emotionally. And clearly, I had this cancer diagnosis, which no matter what's going on in your life, when you hear those words, everything comes to a dead stop. And so that was my big wake up call. And things continued to change after that.
Yeah. I'm glad you shared that, because I know what you mean exactly. For those of us that have had a bout with cancer, it is kind of a whole different thing. But you said something. If I could back you up just a minute, you talked about all that stuff about your life, but in that too, you realized that some of that was you weren't fulfilled in your life, and you were kind of more like people pleasing and really kind of following all of those rules, but those weren't rules that you felt spoke to you, right? I mean, it wasn't
Right. And when you are a people pleaser and something of a perfectionist, I call myself a reforming perfectionist. You figure out what you can do to stay out of the line of fire, which means, you play everything safe, but that also means you're not really living out what you want. You're just taking care of everyone else and making sure that, you're on the straight and narrow. So it can be a very inauthentic place, and very emotionally barren.
Yeah, because I mean, I understand. What I hear you saying is kind of like me, kind of like the dressed up garbage can. Everything on the outside looked really well, but on the inside, it was all those stuffed feelings and pain and disappointments throughout life that weren't expressed.
And it's, the frustration of
Yeah.
never doing what you really want to do.
Yeah.
And that's, I believe as human beings, we're here to express the gifts that we've been given. And when you spend your whole life trying to please everyone else, that's impossible to do.
Yeah. And I think it wears on us internally. It shows up in other ways, and without getting it out there, your body, that's a way of waking us up.
Right. Yeah. And I think that, a big part of this, a big part of my developing cancer over years was the stress of living in a situation where, my needs weren't expressed or met, not being able to live authentically, and not being able just to be me, and that's a lot of stress to carry inside your body.
Yeah, because at what point, if you think back over, at what point, Nancy, was it like finding out that, man, wait a minute, this life I'm living, this is not really real life for me. And so
Well, yeah, I think, I had definitely figured that out a little bit earlier, but it took me, I was very resistant to change things. I was married. We had a very nice life. My children, I was very reticent to uproot my children, by separating from my husband, just all of that kind of thing. So I was aware, I was miserable, but I wasn't ready to take action. And once I went through cancer treatment, which took over a year, I came out on the other side, and with a logical understanding of, wow, I've been given a second chance in life, and I should be very, very excited. But I wasn't. I felt very, very empty and very, very depressed. And so I knew that there was something very, very wrong that I had to address. And at that time, I went back into counseling, and, I'd already, I had my cancer therapies, and then I blew out my ACL skiing, and I had to have surgery for that. And then I had a slip disc in my back, and I had to rehab that. So all this stuff is going on at the same time. And then I started graduate school, and suddenly everything just opened up.
Wow.
I did end up getting a divorce and moving out of the home that we had shared for a long time. And it was the hardest time in my life. And it was also the most rewarding time of my life.
Wow.
Because I finally came to understand that I was worth the effort to save.
Man, I got chills because I'm listening to your life, and very similar, parallels mine a lot in terms of, living within hiding behind the garbage can, and then finding out, man, when things change, it was like, uh-oh.
Yeah.
And then you said that how you close that statement is amazing. How you realize that, okay, this is a new beginning.
Yeah.
And you nowhere in there that you indicate, and what you just said, that cancer was going to stop you.
No. And I've known since my diagnosis at 46, I'm 63 now. And I've known ever since then that if my cancer returns, it's stage 4.
Yeah.
So that gave me a big incentive to start making lists about things that I want to do in my life and with my life, because there's nothing guaranteed. Yeah. And it's really not anyway, but it's an illusion that we all have, that we have the control, that we can set out the goals, that we can accomplish things, and everything's going to fall into place. But we don't know that. That can change in a heartbeat.
I can change the heartbeat, and they say Murphy's Law, but I think it's bigger than Murphy. But, as soon as we figure we got to figure it out, then we're going to be shown by God, the universe, whoever else. Here's
whatever you want to call it. It's going to show us the way. So, yeah, my therapist that I went to at that time, and I highly recommend therapy for everyone. She would tease me and say, God gave you little hints along the way and you wouldn't listen. So he had to club you over the head with a big giant stick to get your attention.
I love it. And that's so true, right? And that's part of what we were talking about before about, he only gives us what we can handle. And sometimes we don't know.
Yeah. Sometimes we don't even know what we need.
Don't even know what we need. And we think we do, and we got all this. That's what you were talking about. Have all this figured out, and it's so far away from what we really need, right? So, so now you've got this, and I think you shared, all those other things plus your family, divorce, and all of that.
Yeah, it was really, really difficult, and I would never recommend divorce to anyone. I know even if you think it's in your best interest and it's what you need to do, which was the situation that I'm in, it's heart-wrenching and it's really hard and it affects everyone in the family. So it's a very, very difficult time.
Yeah.
And, and for different reasons, but it also, forced me to really work on my mindset And as we were talking earlier, you know, those days when you get up and you're not sure what's going to happen or what you can do to make things better. All you can do is get up and move forward.
Yeah.
You know, one step at a time.
Yeah.
You know, and that's where the yoga, the routines that I have built up over the years with meditation and breathing and the asana piece, all helped me because I had something to rely on to structure my day that I knew was in my best interest, that would be a good self-care for me.
Yeah.
And when I went into my oncologist the first time, and I know you've been there, those conversations you have, when we started talking and he found out that I was a yoga teacher, he said, "Oh, well, this is great. You have all the tools you need to get through this." And I wasn't totally convinced he knew what he was talking about, but it was the same thing. I relied on my practices and, you know, the importance of, you know, connecting with my children and being with my family and connecting with my friends. And those were the things that really got me through.
Yeah. No, I mean, that's so true. I'm thinking about, you know, mine was just, yours has been years, but mine's been less than a year. And I think about, very recent. And I think about all the things that, you know, I just kind of surrendered to and appreciated what you said, my friends, you know, my peace, you know, my being here. Right. And the detection of it early and those things. And then I knew that I was meant to do some other things after this, you know, and that stuff. So, and then I meet great people like yourself, and it just keeps on getting better and better every day. So, but I want to ask you something. You said in your information, there's some things that you do. I'm trying to find it. To kind of when you're struggling a lot, you gave us like 3 or 4 things, and I don't know if you remember them because I know you're busy. It was like, if I hear myself say I can't, then you know, then you say I make myself try it at least once.
Oh yes, okay.
Yeah.
So I decided several years after my divorce. My father had Alzheimer's disease, and he was fairly advanced at the time. I was living in Colorado. He lived here. Okay. So I moved, which was very hard to do. My kids are still in Colorado, but I wanted to spend as much time as I could with my dad. And I did, and he passed away in 2014. And I am so thankful that I did that. But at some point during that process, I heard myself say out loud to someone, "Oh, I could never do that." And I realized that there was a fear response behind that comment. And I just decided in that moment that if I ever heard myself say that again, that I was going to immediately look at that and go do it. Try it once. Doesn't mean I have to like make it a hobby for the rest of my life. But I would at least go explore that, figure out a way to do it. And then just so I could know that I could do it. And that really builds up your confidence and your willingness to put yourself out there and try new things.
Yeah, that's why I liked it. It was kind of like you just decided. And the other thing about it is then you don't have to wonder what if, because you've done it. You know, what would have happened? You know,
right. And you get yourself in some really interesting and fun situations, and you meet interesting and fun people. And it's funny how, you know, the spider webs of life and people. And so one of the first things I did was go jump out of an airplane. So I went skydiving, and I was talking to the guy who was, you know, it was a tandem dive, and he was going to dive with me. And it turned out that he and I had the same English professor at 2 different colleges.
Wow.
I don't even know how we got to that point in the conversation where we figured that out. But it was funny because we had this little connection from some other part of our lives that came together in that moment. So it was really sweet.
Yeah, that's interesting. And you guys had already connected that way and didn't even know it. And then he has your life in his hands as you're jumping out of this plane, right? And so I sure that was a little more comforting. And I read that in your notes. I'm thinking, I had that on my list at one point. And then I thought about it for just like 30 seconds. And then I said, my excuse is I'm afraid of heights. And I think I I kind of, I'm like, I get woozy at certain levels, but I think that would be just so invigorating to just sail down. I mean, we watch them down in Galveston come land, and it's just, man.
Well, I will say it was nothing like I expected. And it was just like, to me, the hard part of that was just getting myself to the plane.
Yeah.
Once I got on the plane and the plane took off, it's like I was not going to go back down in the plane. So I had to, right? So I think you have to figure out like what is it you have to get through to take it all the way.
Yeah.
And so for me, it was the plane. Other people, it was actually like jumping out the door.
Yeah.
But we all survived and had a great time, and it was fun.
That's awesome. So that's one thing you say you do, and then another one was look for opportunities for self-expression. I don't know if you remember that.
Yes.
And I think that was part of you really kind of hiding behind your self-expression for a long time. Is that?
Well, there's that, and then just not even losing sight of who you are. When you live for other people long enough, you just forget who you are. And so part of the experimentation and trying new things is to figure out what really sparks my interest and what doesn't. I loved skydiving. It's a very expensive sport, and it's not where I want to put my time and money. So I did it. It's not going to be a big part of my life anymore. Right. But when I went to graduate school, I was very because of the timing and everything, I was very beaten down emotionally. I wasn't feeling very confident. And when I got into that first class, they said, if you can't get up here and argue your points and, be an active part of conversation, you're not going to make it in grad school. So I realized I needed to do something really quickly. So I joined a Toastmasters group, which, was one part. And then I joined a class in improv.
Okay.
And that was really tough. That is still very tough for me. I did improv up in Denver, and then I've done improv here at Station Theater. And it's a challenge every single time.
Wow. So
but it's exhilarating when you finish.
Yeah, when you're done. So when your palms are all sweaty and all that stuff.
Yeah, but one of the great lessons of improv is that you realize it's not all about you.
Yeah. Wow.
It's really not. Improv is a team effort. And, you're out there to support your team, and they're out there to support you. So even if you make a mistake, somebody's going to come in and help you out.
Yeah.
So you learn to rely on other people. And then you also begin to understand that, you can't make or break it.
I love that you just said it's not about you, and the first thought when I heard that was folks that are like yourself, that are well, I believe we're all meant to serve in some capacity, all meant to all have a message that someone can gain something from. And when we think about that versus what we want, right? What's in it for us, then it becomes so much more real.
Yeah.
It's not about us, and then you talked about improv and having a team, but if you don't have that, but if you search yourself to find out what it is that you really want to do, then you're going to do that. Just like you're building your yoga business. Now, tell us about your company here in Houston, name and all that stuff.
Right. My company is Jai Yoga Houston, and it's a yoga therapy clinic. So I basically work with people one-on-one to, help them find solutions for pain, find ways to deal with ongoing health concerns, and help people deal with chronic illness, basically in a non-invasive way. It is greatly informed by yoga philosophy and history. We have a lot of tools in yoga. The discipline is 5,000 years old. So yoga therapy is deeply informed in yoga and Ayurveda. So we have all kinds of tools that we can use. And as a yoga therapist, I address the whole person. So if you came to me and said, I have back pain, we would, take a look, talk about your symptoms, but we would also talk about other things in your life, like, do you sit all day? Do you stand all day? Do you exercise? What kind of exercise do you do? How is your diet? How is your sleep? And so we try to draw the bigger picture, and from that bigger picture, figure out strategies to address that pain. Yeah.
That's interesting because, and I think physicians should take that practice and find out more about the things that people are going before we just get medication prescribed to us. But that's a whole nother thought.
That is a whole other thing. And I often tell people that, what is the harm in trying something that's non-invasive first? If it doesn't work, then you can always go that other route. But if part of what's going on is part of that bigger picture, if we can address that, things might change organically without having to, go somewhere else. And for myself personally, with my back injury, I was still in cancer treatment at the time, and my doctors were recommending surgery, but they couldn't do surgery because I was still under the care of my cancer doctors. So I had to find alternative ways to deal with that until I finished. Well, by the time I was ready for surgery, I had found ways to finish. And I'm still managing that injury. I've never had to go any further with treatment. If I start feeling a little twinge, I know the exercises I need to do. I know how to handle that and keep it in line.
No, I love that. Yeah, that's good. Because when you were talking earlier about that piece too, it kind of like is doing what you shared kind of helps you really figure out. People eat for comfort, but in going through what you're doing, I believe you find out what's eating you as you eat. Because you eat, you know what I mean? It's more of that. What's really going on?
An old friend of mine always says that it's not what you're eating, it's what's eating you that makes the difference.
That makes the difference, and then how you heal from that stuff. So, man, that's really good. And I'm gonna say hey to Clinton and Quentin and Margaret and some other folks that have stopped in. Appreciate you guys. So there was something else you said, and I know before we get out of here, I want to make sure
Well, I'll say one more thing while you're looking. The majority of my clients are my age or older.
Okay.
So I work primarily with 50s, 60s, 70s, and 80s.
Okay.
From a yogic perspective, we look at the lifespan in 4 different stages. So the first stage is, infancy up to young adulthood. And then the second stage is from, say, our 20s to our 50s, mid 50s. That's when we're really focused on raising families, careers, all that kind of stuff. When we go into the third stage of life, which is pretty much where my focus is, we're getting to the point where our children are grown and gone. Our work is starting to wind down. We may not be retired yet, but we're considering what retirement might look like. And so our focus turns naturally from the external world a little more internally. And we start asking ourselves questions about our spirituality, our what do we want to do with the rest of our lives? If we want to continue working, do we want to do the same thing? Do we want to try something new? So this is a stage that a lot of people are fearful of, but I believe can be the most fruitful stage of our lives. And so I really want to encourage people to look at this in a more positive light, to stay active, to stay interested and connected with the world, because we have a lot that we can do here. And then the fourth stage is when we are moving, we're physically at the point where even what we do now is more difficult. And we call this the stage of beneficial presence. And those are the people in our lives who are older, who we love dearly. They add value simply through their presence in our lives.
Like they may not be as mobile or agile, but they can be there, be part of the environment,
be part of the family,
part of the flow, and bring that smile and joy and all that. I like what you said about the third piece, where we are now, because we grew up hey, you get a good job, work till you retire, and then spend whatever years you have left. And that mentality, I think, is not there anymore. But there's a lot of people that grew up under that are finding out that was wrong, and now what?
Well, and we're so lucky to be living at this time because we have, so much at our disposal to stay healthy and
Yes.
stay active. And,
Yes.
as long as we have our health, we can do things. It's very, very important to really focus. And we need to be thinking, probably in our 20s and 30s at least about what we're going to look like when we hit 60. Everything that we do along the way determines how healthy we'll be when we get older.
Yeah. Not just appearance wise, but internally, emotionally, right? Spiritually, all those things that go into that. So, right. So now I love that. So will you also go through the physical exercises in yoga in addition to the other?
Yeah. So, I work with asana, which is the postures. Okay. So we work with asana, pranayama, which is the breath work. And, you hear more and more about breath work now. But when we really study pranayama, we learn that there are different breathing techniques for different things, for different purposes. Yeah. We can use meditation. That can be a piece of a protocol. Mantra, which is, your repetitive chanting. Mudra, which is yoga for your hands. We can do face yoga. There's all kinds of things we can do with the physical body. And of course, it's all connected, right? Yeah. And we also do, we can also do yoga nidra, which is very popular with a lot of people because it's a deep relaxation technique. Some people call it yogic sleep, but it's a guided meditation that, dives deep down into, the psyche to support change.
Yeah. I love that because, my process with the, surgery in the abdomen in that area, I've gone through, I understand a lot more detail, the diaphragmatic breathing and then, connecting the mental piece to that part of it. And that alone has been just amazing. So when I hear you talk about some guided things, and I've had experiences with meditations and that, and I just hear you talking about, man, you're really kind of getting us all set physically, emotionally, and spiritually. You're connecting all of the things together in our body. So we're just ready to go, man.
Yeah. And, this guided meditation I'm talking to really kind of speaks to that, what you're calling stinking thinking, because one of the things that we can work with is our thoughts and how do we develop the thoughts that are supportive rather than the thoughts that tear us down. Because that inner critic is a very loud voice for most of us. And just becoming aware and noticing when that pops up is half the battle. Because if you're aware of it, you can change it.
Yeah, that's you just closing minds. It's so true. That's why I get excited about it, right? I mean, and I was joking earlier, but I wasn't. When I became aware that this was going on and that this could change my life, I would be that, because you have to be committed to change. You have to be that willing disruptor of your own life, right?
Right.
I mean, you have to be that person that's, all right, this is enough. Right. And then it's a practice. And I wrote down practice being consistent, practice being patient with yourself, practice being loving with yourself. And all the things that you're talking about in your profession give us even more tools.
Right. And, we have a joke in yoga that it's called a yoga practice, not a yoga perfect. Because every time you show up on the mat, at work, in your family life, you show up as a different person.
Yeah.
And so, we change constantly as we get older. And so we practice over and over and over again because we'll never reach perfection.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
And it's all a practice.
Yeah, it really is. You know, I mean, it's a practice and forgiveness, practice and consistent practice. Get in the gym for everything. I'm a gym guy kind of, so I just apply that to anything else that we're talking about here. So,
Yeah.
Man, listen, you said something here. Learn to listen and follow your gut. As we wrap this up, I mean, you're kind of talking about it now. You're talking about the meditation. You're talking about all that. But the gut, you hear him talk about it a lot. I knew I should have did that. That's what my gut told me. I knew I should have done this when my gut told me. What is it? Talk about that for a second as we wrap this up.
Well, no one knows better than ourselves what's best for us. And we are conditioned from a very young age to listen to the advice of other people, listen to the demands of other people and the needs of other people, and to meet those, in the process. To me, part of becoming an adult, part of moving from the child through the teenager to the young adult is learning how to distinguish between the conditioning we've received and the essence of who we truly are, in a way that's healthy for everyone.
Yeah.
We don't want to be destructive about it to ourselves or to anyone else either.
Right.
But that's part of growing into who you were. Now, from a yogic perspective, we come into life already perfect and whole. We're the person that we are going to be when we're born. Yeah. And then we're distracted by all these other demands, cultural, family, school, there's all kinds of places we're getting messages from.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. No doubt.
And those distract us and pull us away from our original essence. And then when we come back to, trying to honor who we are as a person, in many ways, we have to shed those conditioning factors that we picked up along the way and bring that awareness back into who we are as a person. That essence is our gut.
Yeah.
And that essence tells us what is best for us. Our difficulty is figuring out the true message. Because we're surrounded by the distractions and the demands of others. And then we have this little voice inside that says, no, that's not what I want.
Yeah.
And then we have to figure out, can we honor that? And if we choose to honor that, how do we do that? How do we go about that in our lives?
Wow, that was fire. Well, I mean, it's really, you hear it all the time, man. I've been wanting to do X all my life, and I finally did it, or I'm still stuck on trying to do this one thing, and it's just a whisper.
Yeah.
Right. But it's consistent. It's there. I mean, and it reminds us of that, and I was listening to you, and Isaac said hello. Isaac, good to hear from you, man. And thanks for stopping in and just, thinking about what you were saying. And this is a prime example. Being here today with you was something that I've put off for 25 years. And it took COVID to say, okay, I didn't know I was going to end up here from what we started, but I knew I wanted to, and it kept whispering, and the whisper got a little louder. And then, and we talk about being bold and being brave and not willing to worry about sucking at something new, because that's what's going to happen. And just like you said, just put one foot in front of the other. Right.
Yeah. And half the time, I think, when we start out with an idea, like your idea pre-COVID, it was an essence of an idea. You probably didn't see this exact situation that we're sitting in today, but you were able to take a step that brought you to a new opening, a new horizon that you could explore. And I think that's, what's so exciting about being our age, that, that's all we have to do is take that little step, and the rest is going to open up for us. Yeah. We just have to trust the process.
Trust the process. Trust is in the journey. Trusting is It's so key. Let it go, and some say let go and let God. Some say let go and live, and wherever it might be for whoever you are at this point in time. The whisper in the doubt. Yeah, Isaac, that's right, man. I mean,
Well, and that's what we talked about earlier too. Having the ability and being willing to sit in that space of not knowing.
Yeah.
Not knowing what the next step is necessarily, but just sitting there and allowing something to come for that essence inside to rise up and say, take this next step. And if we're busy all the time, we can't hold that space for this new information to come in.
Right.
And that's where meditation and all of these, practices give us that time and space to really listen.
Yeah. Well, they say it's the time of meditation is when the answers are given to us if we sit still long enough to listen.
Yeah.
Say, listen, I've kept you a little way longer than I should have. So I appreciate this.
Really
so
fun stuff. I'm so happy to be here and appreciate you so much.
Yeah. You just don't know. I mean, the people need to listen to this and record it. I encourage you to share all this information. So as I bid farewell to you, what can you leave with us that you haven't already? I mean, you got a bunch. I have notes and scribble all over my pads. What would you like to leave with us, Nancy, that we haven't touched?
Well, first of all, as far as my business is concerned, you can reach me. You can reach out to me, Nancy Martch. It's Jai Yoga Houston, and I'm located at Jerry Ashford and Briar Forest in West Houston. And you can call me at 713-397-8877. I do offer a free 30-minute consultation. So that gives us a little time to get to know one another, kind of talk about what's going on, what you would like to explore or achieve. And then I can give you some ideas of how we might start. So that's available. And on a broader picture, I would just say, I hope everyone out there can open up their heart and their mind to exploring the possibilities wherever they are in life, exploring the possibilities of becoming more themselves and expressing themselves more, because that's what we need from everyone.
Yeah. I mean, don't hold it keep it to yourself.
No, we're all filled with gifts. We came into this world with gifts. And so please share them.
Please share them and know that it's possible. Take the I am off of impossible and just remember it is possible.
Yeah, it's always possible.
It's always possible. We're the ones that get in the way. Nancy, listen, thank you so much. And I'll put your phone number in the chat and spell your business name for me, and I'll put that in the chat so people, it's J something, I believe.
J-A-I. And J is a Sanskrit term for victory, meaning victory in all pursuits.
I love it. So J-A-I yoga, J-A-I what?
J-A-I yoga Houston.
We'll drop it in the chat while I have you here so people can reach out. And wherever you are in age, wherever it might be, I would really encourage you guys to reach out to my friend Nancy. It's been fabulous.
It's been great. Really enjoyed it.
Thank you so much. And maybe we can coach you into coming back with something that maybe a little workshop or something around what you do, some fundamental things that people can begin to do.
I would love to share. Absolutely.
Man, that'd be awesome. All right. Well, listen, thank you so much, my friend, and job well done.
Thank you, Geoff. See you soon, I hope.
Yes, ma'am. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye. All right. Hey, listen, it's crazy how we met, right? I mean, all these things I talked about earlier and at our mechanic shop, and who knew that this woman possessed all these things and the gifts that she has and the willingness to come show up here today and spend almost an hour with you guys. And so please take advantage of her experience and have a call to her and you know, you never know. You do know if you never tried. But boy, those of us in this 60s plus, the 60s is the new 40, man. I mean, it's time for us to take care of ourselves. It's time for us to understand the power of holistic healing and conversations with ourselves and meditation and the circles that she's talking about. Because we don't have to pack it in now, baby. We just started. Right. So do the things that are necessary to make yourself have a better life. Deep motivations are possible for all of us. So I want to say, what you focus on the longest becomes the strongest. So let's begin to change what that is that we're saying to ourselves every day. Because what we say we focus on, whether you know it or not, what you say changes our energy level, whether you know it or not. What you say determines the outcome of our day. So this thinking, that's got to be something that you pay attention to. It's got to be something, like she said, become aware of and then begin to change it. Oh man, you don't have to have any money. You don't have to have any education. You don't have to have anything other than the willingness to know that what you say and what you do is a direct correlation to the message that you're giving yourself. Oh, in addition to all the other noises going on in the world, man. I mean, I know what it is. When I first started, I didn't really want to look at them. I didn't want to face me. I didn't want to face the possibilities of some of the things that were in there. But that's okay. I said, practice forgiveness, practice, some love for yourself, and know that you're worth whatever it is that you feel, whatever it is that you think you need to hold on to. Let it go. And find a community that you can be a part of. Change that thinking. And I said, what did I say here? I had something I wrote down. Look at this. People that are chasing success, people that are thinking you have to do all this thing. You got to do the work. And it says here that the only place where success comes, listen to me, the only place where success comes before work is in the dictionary. Those of you that are fretting about not achieving things yet, have you done the work yet? It's about the work, man. Fidel Sassoon said that. Check out that man. He's been through some things, right? So don't get all discouraged. Don't be all disappointed. It's because of where you are. Begin today to see yourself in a different way. Begin today to take advantage of some of this information that Nancy shared today. Go back and replay this thing, man. There's a ton of little things in here, right, that you can use. You that want to have a better life. You that believe you're meant for more. You that know you're meant for more and willing to do the work. I challenge you to go back and check it out. So I like this last piece I'm going to leave you with, and it talks about the biggest adventure you can take is to live the life of your dreams. And that's my powerful, Oprah Winfrey says it. The biggest adventure you can take is to live the life that you dream about. Let's get busy living that life. Let's get busy changing that thinking. Let's understand that the power is in the comeback and you are meant for more. Hey, listen, I got to go. I've been here way too long. Appreciate everybody showing up today. Share this information. Isaac, man, I appreciate you. Stev, Margaret, all those other folks that showed up. Keep coming back. Appreciate you. Live hard and love hard. See you on the next episode. Bye-bye.